Well, today we are talking about everything that I hate about my Canon R6. Well, hey, what's up? My name is Tony. I'm just kidding. There's really not much that I even don't like about this camera. But today we're talking about the things that I wish that this camera would either have changed or maybe were tweaks, something that I didn't really like about it. And I'm gonna be just very upfront with you and tell you there's not very many things. So this camera is really incredible, and I am just so happy that I decided to pick it up, even though I'm still waiting on my R5. And it's actually made me doubt if I really need the R5 because the R6 is so good. But let's get into talking about some of these things that I really wish were just a little bit different on the R6 to make it a good camera. The first one is the obvious. I wish that it had all eye compression for the video. That's really the biggest thing. They first came out, I actually pre-ordered the R6 and then decided, you know, I'm just gonna cancel my pre-order and get the R5 because it didn't have all eye. But after using the IPB compression and just using this camera kind of to its fullest, I really enjoy using it. And there's a couple advantages of using the IPB that I found. The biggest one is obviously the file size. I've realized that the sizes of you know, even my EOS R were significantly larger, and this matches the output sizes of the 4K 24, basically the same thing with the C200 files. And so the files are actually really easy to use. So I've enjoyed using the IPB, but I wish I had the capability to shoot in all eye. Going on to the next thing that I've noticed about this camera that I am not exactly pleased with, or something that I would change, is the fact that when you're shooting in record modes, some of your statistics go away. The biggest one for me is the histogram. I really wish that that histogram would stay on the screen so that I could see how I'm exposing. The other thing is like a level. They have a really good level that shows both vertical and horizontal now, but once you start recording, it goes away. So those are two things that I just really wish that all of those stats would stay on the screen, just like they do with all of the cinema cameras. Now, I understand this camera is a hybrid camera, and for me, it has been working incredibly. It is a perfect hybrid camera. It takes incredible photos, and it takes incredible video, all in a small package that's weather sealed. Alright, so I've been watching a couple other videos, and I decided to make a list of all of the things that people have kind of mentioned, and my explanation why they just don't really matter that much to me. The first thing is audio in 120. I just don't shoot a ton of audio in 120. If it was added, I may use the 1080 120 a little bit more, but in all honesty, I don't shoot a lot of 120. For me, it has to be in a very specific situation for me to use that 120, and I'm just not going to use it all the time. So that's not a huge deal for me. The other thing is I've seen a couple people complain about battery life. Meh. I mean, I get really good battery life on this camera, and I even have it connected to my phone all the time so that I get GPS tracking on all my photos, and I just haven't seen that huge of a problem. I mean, it's really not that bad. The other thing is the overheating. We've already talked about that a little bit. It has not, literally has not been an issue for me, ever. Another thing that a lot of people have trouble with is the 30-minute record limit. It's just not a deal breaker for me. I really don't even care if Canon updated it, cool, but there are very few times when I ever shoot over 30 minutes of video on a camera like this. And I know that there's some hacks that you can do some external recording to like an Atomos Ninja 5 or something like that, but for me, I very seldom shoot over 30 minutes, so that's not a big deal. And then the only thing that I've seen other than these kind of complaints is the mode dial. When you go to video, you've only got auto exposure and manual exposure for video, and for me, that's perfect. I really have no trouble with that because I always leave my shutter speed exactly where it needs to be. I always leave my f-stop pretty much where it needs to be, and then I will either use auto ISO or lock in my ISO. And so I don't want any of those TV or AV modes because that's giving the camera control over things that it doesn't need. So at the end of the day, this camera is very, very close to being perfect for me. Like, very close. There's things that I wouldn't even change. Like, the things that they've updated from the EOS R are so incredible that I didn't even realize they were that good. But there's a few tiny little tweaks. The big ones is the all-eye, and then I wish they would leave on some of those things on the screen. Other than that, I'm very, very happy with this camera. So what are some of the things that you have encountered using the R6, or you've heard that maybe aren't the greatest? Leave a comment below, and I would love to kind of address those situations and maybe talk about it a little bit. So I think that the more that we give Canon feedback, the more that they're gonna change. And we've seen that. Man, the R, man, this is a great step up from the EOS R line, and I really feel like Canon listened to a lot of what we were saying, and I'm very pleased. So leave a comment of what your thoughts are about the R6 or the R5 if you've got that, and if you haven't already, subscribe. We talk a lot about R6. I've got a couple different product reviews coming up that will be very good for you to kind of get the most out of your camera, and then I've got some really cool tutorials coming up. Some have to do with the R6, R5, but most of them are just kind of in camera in general. So make sure to subscribe, like this video, and we will see you on Friday. I've got another video coming. See you soon.